Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K YouTube Live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a fun card with the Sophisticated Sled stamp set bundle from Stampin' Up! So it's just a fun little card with a Let It Snow sentiment on it. So you could really, I turned it kind of into a Christmas card probably, but you could really use it if you're somebody, have a winter birthday or something like that that you need to get a card for. You definitely could use the stamp set bundle and basically use the same card design and just switch it to a happy birthday sentiment inside or whatever you want it to be. So it's a quick and easy little card, and actually I did quite a bit of the die cutting ahead of time, so you won't have to sit and watch me fiddly die cut everything. There'll be a few fiddly pieces just because we got to put the sled together, but it's really pretty quick and easy. So this is the card we're making today, and so hopefully you all like it. And it's a great stamp set bundle. It has restocked. I know it was out of stock for a little while, but it's been back for a couple weeks. But yeah, it's a cute little stamp set bundle in the online exclusives, and we'll talk more about those in a second. So I see Tina and Judy and Pam and Sherry and Marilyn and Roxanne and Karen and Barbara are all here. So thanks everybody for joining today. I appreciate you being here. And Daisy just hopped in as well. So all right, so this is, like I said, that's the card stamp set bundle. So we've got the Sophisticated Sled. Hey, Charlotte, thanks for hopping in from Illinois. Are you guys cold there? It's all of a sudden turned like freezing and windy here in New Jersey. Berber stepped out a minute ago. I'd been running around. I just had shorts and a t-shirt on in my house and stepped out to grab something off the front porch. And I'm like, ooh, it's cold out there today. So, hey, Julianne, thanks for joining. All right, so stamp set is called Sophisticated Sled. It's got some cute little sentiments in it. Again, your Let It Snow. There's a good tidings if you definitely want it to be a Christmas related. Hey, Karen, thanks for joining. Yay all the way. And then hope your days are filled with fun and laughter. And then let's decorate the season with happiness. There's a pretty little wreath, cardinal, your sled image, a little swag, some ice skates. And then we have the coordinating die sets. Hey, Carol, thanks for joining. That is also called Sophisticated Sled. And again, these are bundled together in the online store. You will save 10% if you get the bundle together. And like I said, it's been restocked. So yay, happy about that. All right. So for the dies, you have the open die that cuts out the swag. This one cuts out your wreath. This one will cut out your skates and your bird. And then, and this larger one, this is actually 2 dies. So this one will cut out your stamped sled, which I have actually yet to use that. I don't think I've used it. I like putting the sled together because it's really cute. So, so that's what I've been using. There's one that's just kind of a greenery swag, which is an extra piece. This is the main piece of the sled. So that creates what would be the wooden part of the sled. And then this piece here creates little rails for the sled, or whatever those are called. I think they're called rails. I don't even know. And then there's a set of ice skates here that actually, these are the little laces that slide into the slits on the ice skates. And then these you can cut out of a foil sheet or gray sheet or whatever you want to do with it, and put your blades on your skates. And so yeah, it's a great stamp and die set. Lots of fun to play with, lots of different ways to use it. Anything kind of all winter long, I think you could use this. Like I said, birthdays, Christmas, whatever you want to use it for. All right, so that is the bundle. Set the dies aside. Couple of other things that I used. The trees from the background on here came from the Peaceful Evergreen stamp set. And actually that is a bundle as well. And you'll see the little dotted image here. That's how I cut the background, and I'll explain how I did that in a second as well. And then these are the die cuts for the trees. So again, this is a separate bundle in the mini catalog. And I did get a question not too long ago, a day or two ago, about this set of dies in this set. This actually creates a bow. So if you didn't know it, these cut the 2 like side parts of the bow. This thing you cut as the center that covers the middle of the bow, and then this is the back of the bow. So basically it creates a cute little bow. If you die cut those pieces and stick them together in the center, you'll have a cute little bow. All right, so again, layering trees, open trees. There's one that cuts out your star. So again, Peaceful Evergreens is the name of this one. Let me set that one aside and put my, ooh, that's hanging off the edge, and it will be crashing on the floor in just a second. This is the Gone Fishing dies, believe it or not. And I'm sure you're looking at it going, what in the world did you use Gone Fishing dies on this card for? I actually used this little die cut to create the layers of snow on this card, which hopefully you can see. It kind of cuts and embosses at the same time. So it cuts across the wavy line at the top, and then it embosses these little things here that I thought looked kind of like snowdrifts. So that's why I went with it. And hopefully you can see it on my card. It's probably a little hard to see the white die cut. I'm trying to hold it. Hopefully if I move it around just a little bit, the light will catch it just right and you'll be able to see the embossed images on it. But so that is what I used for the layering of the snow on there. And that's what it's called, Gone Fishing. It is from the annual catalog. And then this is the final die set. I swear I didn't use every die that I have. A lot of them, not everyone. And this is called Greetings of the Season. And this is the little die that I used to cut out the sentiment on the card front. This is also an online exclusive item. So make sure you're checking those out because there's lots of good things in the online exclusives. All right. So, hey, Carol and Sally, if I didn't say hello, and Roxanne and Carol, thanks for joining. I don't know if I said hi to Karen or not, but hi. So, all right. Couple things before we get going, and then I swear we'll get to the card. Seasonal sale. Stampin' Up! Has got what they're calling their seasonal sale that is running from November 13th to the 15th. So that is tomorrow, Wednesday the 13th, through Friday the 15th. Everything that's on sale is while supplies last. So that means if the item goes on back order and it doesn't return before the sale is over, you're not going to get it on sale. So I always say order early, then you won't be sad. So you get a total of 20% off the bundle. So their bundles are an additional 10% off of the sale prices in the annual catalog. Again, this is only annual catalog items. You get 20% off all the designer series papers in the annual catalog, 10% off all the cardstocks, and then 10% off the inks, blends. I think ink refills, I think, are even on the sale, as I recall. I didn't make the official, they must be because they're in the picture. So anyhow, so everything that you need kind of for basic crafting is on sale from November 13th to the 15th. So yes, it's a great sale. Because, nobody wants to buy just plain cardstock. It's so much more fun to buy dies and stamps. And so if you can get the stuff on sale, you might as well grab it. And speaking of the sale, originally I had my double reward points ordering bonus that was supposed to end today. I was running it through the first week, basically, of the new online exclusives. But since the sale is starting tomorrow, I thought, man, it's not fair not to do it. So I'm extending my double reward points ordering bonus through November 15th, through the end of the sale on the 15th. So for double points, these are my customer kind of reward points or thank you points. For every $50 that you order from me, you get one of what I call my running shoe reward points. While I've got my double points going on, for every $50 that you order, you actually get 2 points. And then once you collect 8 points, you get a free $40 order of your choice from me. Details are out on my blog. The details about my reward program are out on my blog. So head over to stampwithamyk.com and you'll see all the information out there. It's posted today already. And then finally, just online exclusives. Make sure that you're taking a look at those. Again, I used a couple of the online exclusives on my card today. And online exclusives are kind of they're only available while they're available. They're not tied to any catalog, so they kind of come and go. Just make sure you're taking a look at those anytime you go to make an order. Online exclusives, you can find them by clicking on the little menu button, and there is a big button that says online exclusives, and if you just click that, you'll go and see all of them. This is just a very small sampling of some of the newer items that are available to order, but lots of other good things out in the online exclusives right now, including the stamp set bundle that we're using today. So you will be happy to note that I did do quite a bit of the die cutting ahead of time. So you're not going to be sitting here like, oh, is she going to have to cut that again? So yes, I will explain to you though how I made this piece. This is actually Pool Party cardstock and is cut to about 3 7/8 by about 5 1/8. So I think I originally started with a 4 by 5 1/4, and then I just trimmed it down when I was making my first card. So this is the die that I used, and again, this is from the Peaceful Evergreens dies. And how I cut it was I basically just put it down on my cutting plate, and then I placed my little die here right on the top of it like that. Made sure that I was kind of overlapping the edges just a hair so that I was making sure that I was getting everything cut along the edge. Ran it through the first time, and then poked all the little bits and pieces out because there are quite a few of them, and then moved it down to right underneath where the die cut had ended the last time and ran it back through again. And then because it didn't reach all the way to the end, I actually turned it and did the same thing, kind of lined it up right with the edge of where I had die cut it and ran it through a third time. So that is how I got all the little pokey dotty looking things all over it. And the fact that it cut down here and not down here, it didn't matter one bit to me because I was going to be covering it with snow drifts anyway. So I didn't worry about it. If you want it to be snowfally, polka dotty looking all over the die or all over the panel, just run it through one more time with the die hanging off the edge of it like that, and then you'd have polka dots all over everything, and you'd be good to go. So that is how I made that. So pretty quick and easy. Again, pool party cardstock, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 is what this is cut to. And then I've got a couple of the pieces of basic white cardstock that I cut with that Gone Fishing. Is it Gone Fishing? No, all of a sudden, yeah, Gone Fishing, I think is the name of it, die set, which is this one. It's from the annual catalog. And again, I just used this little die. This piece was originally about 1.5 inches when I started, and I just placed my die right here on the top of it. Oop, there we go. And slid it over to one side, ran this piece through. And then this piece was about 1 inch by about 5 1/8 when I started. And then I just slid it over to the other side because I didn't want to have the exact same hills, if that made sense, lined up one on top of the other. I wanted to have it so that they didn't line up perfectly. So I just slid it over to the other side and then ran it through and cut it down. I don't know, this is maybe 3/4 of an inch, and this one's probably 1.25 inches or so. So I cut about 1/4 of an inch off when I did the die cutting with that. So again, just basic white cardstock, and I cut it with the little, what I call the snow die, but it is actually supposed to be waves, I think. So we're going to use a little Stampin' Seal to adhere these pieces together. If you prefer liquid glue, you can do that. Just be aware of the holes in your cardstock, and that if you put a bit of liquid glue on those, you're going to end up with a bit of liquid glue kind of all over whatever you have your cardstock laying on. So that's why I tend to stick with my Stampin' Seal. I have good luck with that. Just going to adhere those together. And I also did not put Stampin' Seal way up along the top edge because I'm going to be tucking some tree die cuts in there. So I wanted to make sure that I had room to stick those in. So I just kept the Stampin' Seal kind of down in this area, ran it across twice. All right, then I'm going to take this little die cut. Ooh, there we go. And run a couple of little bits of Stampin' Seal across the top here. Make sure I got my edges sealed up well. So, hey, Carol, thanks for joining. And we're just going to stick this one right over top of the other one here on the card front. Just lining up the edges, making sure it's on here fairly straight. And there we go. So there's my little snow drifts on there. Like I said, I'll move it around a little, and hopefully the light will catch it right so you can see the little embossed areas on the snow drifts. And if not, they show up on the card, the photo that I took for the card. So you'll see it on my blog post tomorrow. All right, so got this piece of paper, and then I've got basic white. This is cut to about 4 by 5 1/4, so just your standard kind of card front sized. And I've got liquid glue, which you all know that I don't love liquid glue, but I'm going to put a bit down here on the bottom, and then I'm just going to kind of strategically put little dots of glue around the top and edges of this. You don't need to have tons of the glue on it because you're going to be putting some layers over the top with glue dots and things that will help it to stay down, but you do want to have a little glue on it just so that doesn't come completely loose and flapping in the breeze and your card is falling apart before it reaches the recipient. So just kind of putting a couple of dots here and there, and thankfully with this dotted die cut, they're it's a little larger, so we don't need to worry so much about, stuff oozing out in between. So you don't have to be really, really careful and put teeny tiny spots of glue on, but, smaller is usually better than a big glob of glue. So, all right, I think we'll call that good. I did not put any glue in the center so that I wouldn't hopefully stick my fingers in it, although I probably still will. And then I'm just going to line it up here and sort of line it up here. Like I said, liquid glue and I were not always friends, but the liquid glue does give me a second to kind of slide it around here on the cardstock, just to make sure that I've got it on here fairly straight. And then I'm going to give it a good solid smoosh and probably wiggling the heck out of the screen. Sorry, I just want to make sure it's stuck down well before we move on and stick it to the card front. All right, I've got an early espresso card base. This is just the standard issue card base cut to 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4 in the middle. And we're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to stick this on to the card front. And just want to remind you all that I'm actually not going to be live on Friday because I'm going to be heading out of town, heading to a little team event in Georgia. We're doing a little stamping retreat at a nice little cabin up in the North Georgia, sort of the hills of North Georgia. So looking forward to that and seeing everybody there. So I will not be here, obviously, to do my video. So, all right, let me grab a piece, but I will plan to be back next week, Tuesday. So should be back with another video then. Grab a piece of basic white cardstock and some old olive ink. And I've got the little cluster of trees from the Peaceful Evergreen stamp set. And we're just going to ink that up and stamp it 3 times here on this piece of white cardstock, except for I got a piece of fuzz on it. So I'll make sure that I don't stamp on top of that. Ink this up. So we usually have a good time at that event, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. Although it does require getting up and out to the airport at a crazy early time. Karen Kay, who is also on here, and I are on the same flight out heading to Atlanta, and the flight leaves at 6:30 a.m. out of Newark. So that means we have to be to the airport at 4:30, which means I have to get up at a crazy time. So, all right. So I've got the die set here from the Peaceful Evergreens, and I am going to need to run this through 3 times because I didn't cut this stuff ahead of time. So I will be right back. All right. So there's one die cut. And, whoop, come on. And here's the second one. And hopefully the third here. There's the third die cut. So let me pop this one out and get this mess of paper out of the way and get the dies out of here so I don't hopefully lose track of any of those. All right, now I'm just going to take some little mini glue dots. It definitely is worth getting up early. I know, Karen. I know it'll be fun. It's just the thought of that early morning flight. I don't love those, but it is really best, I found, to get on those flights because then if you have any issues, there's always a backup flight that goes out later in the day. So you can always catch a later flight if you need to. All right, I'm not going to smoosh that down just yet because I want to make sure that I have the trees in the place that I want them to be, but I'm starting with the one that's in the center first, and then I'll stick the 2 along the edges. Come on, there we go. And just going to tuck that under here. And again, just kind of trying to line it up with the edge here, putting it as far over there as I can without the tree die cut hanging off the edge of the cardstock base. So, you've got chocolate ready to go. Yeah, see, that's why Karen and I are friends. She gets me. Yes, chocolate, much chocolate will be consumed. I'm quite certain of that. All right, and then I'm going to tuck my other little tree in here. And I think that's kind of, yeah, I think we're good to go. I just wanted to make sure that we were layered up and had the center of it covered. So we'll just smush everything down with the little mini glue dots. And again, I had put my Stampin' seal down low enough that I could tuck the trees in above it, and we're all good to go on that. All right, next thing that I did, and again, I did these die cuts ahead of time, is, come on, let go, is I cut a piece of, this is a little bit of the textured foil from the brushed silver and gold foil sheets, I think is what these are called. These are also online exclusive items. And again, I don't know if the light is going to catch the texture on it, but it's just got a little bit of brushing on it is what I'll say. So it's really pretty. And yeah, just a nice little foil sheet. I had used the little rails die from the sophisticated sled dies and just ran it through the die cutting machine. So that one was quick and easy to cut. This is from the Country Woods Designer Series paper. And actually, before I had cut it, I'd put little strips of adhesive sheets on the back of the Designer Series paper. So this was together like that. Obviously, ran little 1/2-inch strips of the adhesive sheets across the back of the Designer Series paper. And then I die cut it with, I keep crashing into my lights. I die cut it with this little die from the Sophisticated Sled. And you can use liquid glue on it if you want to stick these pieces together. And I did on my first sled that I put together. But I learned kind of quickly that, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's kind of like embossed cut images in the sled. And if you use liquid glue, the glue oozes up out of all those. And again, you all know that I don't love liquid glue. So I pretty quickly figured out that adhesive sheets work a little better for me. Now I will say it does take a second because you have to peel them off. So it's not super quick and easy, like, done in 3 seconds kind of thing. But I find them easier to work with than liquid glue when I'm sticking the sled together. I probably should have peeled off a couple of these before I got on here live, but you all just get to see me wrestle these off. There we go. So got the first row done. And any kind of little pokey tool type thing that you have. I use my snips fairly often, obviously, because that's usually what I have handy. Makes these a little bit easier to get started. So if you're struggling with that part of it, with the adhesive sheets, and they don't want to come off of whatever you've stuck them on, just use a little bit of something sharp to get up underneath it and get it started peeling, and then the rest peels off pretty quickly. All right, so that wasn't too terrible. All right, so I've got my little adhesive pieces on here, and we're just going to flip it over on the silver foil sheet here, and just going to use the adhesive sheets on the back of here to adhere it to the back of the sled. And now there is going to be a little overlap on here where the adhesive sheets are bigger than obviously these little skinny bars are, but it's sticks on well enough, and we're going to be using some other adhesive to stick it to the card front, so we're set and good to go on that. So all right, then I've got the adhesive sheets on the little front of the sled, and again, I'm sure there's a name for this, but I don't know what it is. So we'll just call it the front of the sled. We're just going to stick that on here. And sorry, the dog just came trotting in here, so I'm sure you can hear her little nails clicking across the floor. All right. Then I'm going to take that, and we're going to adhere this to the card front. And I actually found, because there were so many layers down here underneath, it was kind of dimensionalized without even really adding any dimensionals to it. So I did put some Stampin' dimensionals up here underneath this section of the sled, and these are my little half Stampin' dimensionals. If you like the little mini dimensionals, those fit on here well also, but the half ones fit pretty perfectly underneath the back of the die cut, so that's what I used. And then I'm going to take some glue dots, and we're going to stick a couple glue dots on the back of the sled to hold the rest of the sled down. And I just kind of randomly stuck those around. And again, if you like liquid glue, you can certainly use liquid glue to stick this part of the sled down, but again, just be aware that it may seep through if it gets into any of the little embossed pieces on the sled. So, and you may be kind of a little gooey on the front of your card if you put it together with liquid glue. So, all right, got those all stuck together. Gonna peel the backing off of my dimensionals, and then we'll flip it over. And I don't see any dimensionals peeking out because that's the other thing I kind of try to keep an eye on. And then I'm just going to take my sled and kind of put it at a little tilt here on the card front. Wanted to make it sort of look like it was stuck in the snowbank, although it doesn't really look like it was stuck in the snowbank, but close enough. All right, and using the glue dots to smoosh it down and stick it to the rest of the card front. Then the final thing, we've got a little sentiment here. This is real red cardstock, and I'm going to grab my embossing buddy and put a little bit of the powder all over the cardstock, so hopefully I don't get any stray flecks of embossing powder or any fingerprints on it. Versamark ink, and then I've got my little Let It Snow stamp from the Sophisticated Sled stamp set. And we're just going to stamp that in Versamark ink on the real red cardstock. And then we're going to do a little heat embossing. So let me grab my white embossing powder from the Basics Wow embossing powders, and we will sprinkle that on the sentiment here. All right, looks like we got it pretty well. Let me do one more quick shake on it. Okay, close that up before I turn on the heat tool and have things go flying everywhere. So got my Stampin' Up! Heat tool here in handy, and I've got a huge mess all over my desk. Bits and pieces of everything. So the Stampin' Up! Heat tool has 2 settings on it. There's a level 1 setting for drying and level 2 setting for heat embossing. So if you are doing watercoloring or something that takes a little minute to dry, you can turn on the level 1 setting and dry it up speedy quick. And then level 2 setting gets a little hotter, but it does take just a minute to get warm enough to do your heat embossing. I'm going to take it and turn it towards my project now. I think it's probably getting close to ready to go. And then you'll see it start to turn that smooth and shiny and kind of the bright white, and you'll know that it's done. So you don't want to overcook your embossing powder because you can burn it, and it's not very pretty when you do that. Then just give it a second to cool off before you run it through your die cutting machine so that you don't accidentally smear it as well. And again, these are the Greetings of the Seasoned dies, and they are from the online exclusives. And then, hey, Daryl, thanks for hopping in. And we're just going to take this little die and we're going to cut out our sentiment. So I'll be right back to do that. All right, whoop, maybe. All right, so we'll put that die back before I lose track of that one too. Then I'm going to go back to my card front, and I've got a little bit of the real red and white baker's twine because it's just too cute, and I'm actually almost out of this one, but thankfully I have a backup, 2 or 3. So just going to cut a little bit of that, and we're going to tie just a quick little bow here through the edge of my sentiment. So yes, you definitely need to go get this one, Daryl. It's a cute, cute bundle. And yes, with the online exclusives, we just never know how long they're going to be around. And I know it just restocked not too long ago, so go get it now while it's available. I'm going to tie a bow here. At least that's my plan. And if I can get my fingers to work, that is. There we go. And just going to straighten up the little loops on the bow a little bit. Make sure that it's not too big. And then I will probably trim it down, but I'm going to go ahead and stick it on the card front and see how it looks before I do that. So I just use the mini glue dots again to stick my sentiment on here. So I'm going to put one towards the edge and then one more towards the middle. Trying to stay away from the left-hand edge because it's going to be hanging off of my sled. So I want to make sure that I keep the glue dot in a spot where it's going to be on the little sled. And there we go. Just stick that right over it. And make sure that my bow is tied nicely, and then grab the ends here, and I will trim them down just a hair. There we go. Just to make it a little smaller, put that away. Goodness, I got mess everywhere. And then the final thing that I've got here are some of the iridescent faceted gems. And again, these aren't really snowflakes or weren't designed as snowflakes, but to me, they look a lot like snowflakes and they're kind of sparkly and pretty. So I went with them and called them snowflakes. So I'm going to put one of the smaller ones here on my sentiment, and then one of the larger over here on the tree, and then a smaller one kind of next to it here on the trees. And that's going to be it for the card front. So super quick and easy, just a little bit of sparkle on it with the silver and then the little iridescent gems on it. So yeah, so quick and easy. And like I said, I love the sled. I can't help myself. I've been using it way probably more than I should be, but it's such a cute little sled and so easy to put together. So, all right. Got basic white cardstock and then another one of the sentiments from the Sophisticated Sled stamp set in real red ink. And we're just going to stamp that sentiment here in real red ink on the basic white cardstock. There we go. And then I'm just going to take the little, tree image, and we're going to stamp it across the bottom of the panel here in Old Olive ink. Just going to run it across. And we'll stamp one there. And it doesn't need to be lined up perfectly, so you can kind of, if they overlap, they overlap. It's not a big deal at all. There we go. Got it was all stamped across there, and we'll put that on the inside with a little stamp and seal, and we're going to be all done. So again, all the details for this will be on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. I will link directly to the blog post once it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, so you'll have the printable PDF tutorial, pictures, written tutorial, list of all the stuff that I use to make it. So all sorts of good stuff in there. So you can find everything that you need. Cardstock cuts and sizes and everything are out there. So, all right, got that on the inside of the card. Fold it closed and run the bone folder across it to give it a quick crease. And that's going to be it for the card. So there you go. Sophisticated Sled is the name of the bundle, and definitely it's one of those that you want to get before it does run out. It is an online exclusive, so we don't know for sure how long it will last, but hopefully it'll be around for a minute or two so you all can grab it as well. So, and then don't forget the Country Woods Designer Series paper, which actually will be on sale for the 20% off during the sale happening the 13th to the 15th. Grab a pack or maybe 10 of those because it's a great pack of paper. You can use it for lots of things, and I love that it works perfectly for the sled. So thanks everybody again for being here. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, I guess it is. I almost said it was Wednesday. It's only Tuesday. Again, I will plan to be back not on Friday because I'm out of town at the team event, but I will be back next week, Tuesday, around 2 o'clock Eastern time to hang out, and we'll make some more cards. So have a great weekend. Yeah, and hopefully it's warmer where you are than where I am. Yeek. All right. Have a good one. We'll talk.